down. Murphy, down. No. We spent the morning working on some skill building and walking everybody together, getting kind of more of our active work or stay work positions, just having all 5 dogs walk on leash together. Down. And so we have a few things we're still working on there, mainly holding positions like this, down stays, sit stays, staying in heel nicely, not pulling on the lead, with more and more distractions. So you'll notice that even right now I've got some dogs that are kind of sneaking up here and there, and that's because this is a new setup for them. I don't do a lot of videos like this where I'm talking at the camera, so they're a little thrown by me chit-chatting. They kind of think that that might mean that work time is over. So I wanted to take the end of our session today to actually work specifically on that, and really getting the dogs used to just kind of hanging out, no matter what's happening, even if it feels like downtime and break time. A really big deficit I find in a lot of my clients in their dogs is just struggling with teaching their dogs to handle being bored and really hold long duration in positions. They may be able to say, oh yeah, my dog knows a sit, a down, and a stay. And when you're doing really formal training, that may come really easily. But times like this, where you're in a conversation, or the dog feels that you're not fully engaged with them, or you're out in public where there's a lot more distractions, then that kind of falls by the wayside. So you'll see a lot on our social media of me out with the dogs really working on certain skills, but this is kind of the boring side of dog training that I think is really critical for most people, especially if you have goals for going out in public, going to cafes, going to breweries, just going and hanging out in a park with your dog, just this ability to relax and sit still and hang out. And a lot of dogs, unless they've really worked on this, hey Murphy, down. Unless they've really worked on this specifically, they're not going to just come pre-built with the ability to just kind of hang out, relax, and chill. So these guys have been working for a good while on building up to this point where they can really handle it. And there's a spectrum in dogs of how easy this comes for them. Murphy, okay. Down. Dogs like Summit, down. This is actually a fairly easy skill for her. She tends to be kind of lower key unless it's like, hey, I'm going to meet a new person. She's kind of happy to just lay down, hang out, chill. My personal dog is much less relaxed, so it's a lot of maintenance and a lot of consistency. These two over here tend to be a little more easily bored, so they have a little bit of a harder time holding along down. Murphy here, down, is mainly just young, and so he's still kind of learning what is expected of him and when he's in position and when he's on cue versus when it's free time. And really the key thing there is being consistent. So you'll notice every time he gets up, I don't panic, I just kind of pop him back into down. Sometimes I'll reward, but for really drivey dogs, that can sometimes backfire. If you have a dog that's constantly working for the food, then they may start getting impatient, and that may pull them out of position. And there's a lot of things we can do to help address that as well. But I want the dogs to truly relax, and sometimes when food is really prominently in the picture, that doesn't happen. So a lot of it's just every time the dog pops up, I have a plan for what I'm going to do. So whether that's using food to lure them back into position, or using the leash to guide them back into position, just my voice, I'll kind of adjust based on the dog, where they're at in their training and what we've practiced. These guys, I'm very familiar with where they're at. And it differs a little bit dog to dog how I address it. And I also want to have a plan for, hey, everybody's doing what I really want right now. So what does that mean? And how do I encourage that to keep that happening so I don't wait until my dog fails? And that's where I will, particularly for these dogs, because I know it won't pull them out of position, I'll just reward intermittently. So down. So they always have down, that hope, Luna, that hope that the reward will come if they're just patient enough. But I don't want to rely on that solely, especially for dogs like Sky, because that may pull in some demand behaviors. She's very driven, she's very fun to work, she's got a lot of motivation for the food, but down. But as you can see, as soon as she feels it's been too long for the food, that's what pops her out of position. So with her, down, underneath to use the food to put her back in position for the moment, but I'm not going to give it to her right away. I don't want her to start basically doing the opposite, where she's training me, where every time she gets up, the food pops out, I put her back in position, she gets a treat. She's smart enough to figure out that by breaking position down, she's more likely to get the treat. She's a little bit of a trickier dog in that way than most. But we'll work through it, and that's where consistency, and a little bit of social pressure there is enough. Luna tends to kind of have similar characteristics, where she's really driven and motivated, and she has really beautiful behaviors, but nope, she does tend to be a little bit impatient. Sky, down. Here I'm going to use a little bit of pressure instead of the food, because that's exactly what I was talking about, where the food has actually caused her to be less successful in her long down. I'm not applying heavy pressure to the leash, just steady, insistent pressure, and I'm going to hold that until she downs, even if it's a long time. And that's where, I don't have to worry if I've used a lot of pressure, then I have to go, oh gosh, is this unfair to the dog? Is this unduly stressful? Little bit of pressure to just remind her to go back into a down, and we've worked on this, so I know she knows that this is asking her for the down position. Down. Good. And then that way she's learning, even when food's not in the picture, I still expect you to hold that down. It doesn't mean free time is happening as soon as you don't feel like you've gotten a treat quickly enough. So it's balance, really. Very good. So yeah, that's basically it. We'll hang out for a little while. I like to do this with my own dogs. If I'm working dogs individually, down.